Welcome back. So that was Metasploit, which is a very popular tool for pen testers, hackers also, but let's keep it professional here. And there are a couple of books that I would say any pen tester is going to have on their shelf. One is the RTFM, which does not stand for Red Team Field Manual. In fact, that stands for the other acronym, which is very popular, especially in the telecom side, but read the fine manual is what that stands for. And so Red Team Field Manual is kind of a joke, but it is actually, you can download this for free from some questionable websites as a PDF, but it's out there. But you can buy a copy from Amazon for a couple bucks. It's got some built-in scripts to run against different types of boxes. It's a terse book, but I've got a copy if you ever want to flip through it. Similarly, much later, the same group came out with a Blue Team Field Manual. What is probably even more helpful is the Blue Team. So remember, Blue Team is defense. Blue Team Incident Response book. This is pretty authoritative on how to respond to different incidents. The most basic part of incident response is knowing that you have an incident, and I don't see how you know that you even have an incident if you're not logging everything. I say log everything. It shouldn't be everything. You don't want to log everything that's going on in every single PC. Certainly not getting all the SNMP traffic from every PC, but certainly from all your servers, and most importantly from your network devices. You want to turn on logging and then look at those logs. So syslog is the Unix version, Unix Linux version, again a free tool that just you set up a server as your syslog server. It's just a service that's constantly running, constantly listening, and then you can point any server that has a logging function to send its logs to that syslog server, and that way you've got a complete data dump, for lack of a better term. Where everything sits. But we've talked about Nmap a couple of times, but let me just show you how Nmap works. In fact, if you haven't done this homework exercise yet, I think it's coming up that I'll have you do a port scan. Don't hold me to that, but I think that's one of your homework assignments. This is the first thing that triggers an IDPS doing a Christmas tree attack, but let's just take a look at a quick video here. So Nmap is pretty much step one. In the Metasploit framework, it's like step 3 or 4, but port scanning is the first kind of test that you're going to do of an environment. There we go. First 5 minutes.
Welcome to InfoSec Explained. Today we're going to be looking at Nmap. Nmap is a great little tool for mapping out networks, identifying hosts, and identifying the services running on those hosts. Nmap is free, as is Linux, and as you can see on the screen here, I'm running CentOS 5.8 inside VMware Player on my Windows 7 PC. Running under Linux, Nmap is faster and the results are more reliable than the Windows port. I'd highly recommend that you run Nmap under Linux. So if you don't have a Linux environment, look out for one of my other videos where I can help you set it up.
Heck yeah!
So let's dive into Nmap. Nmap can be used to scan a single host or to scan a range of hosts. In its most simplest form, the command to scan a single host would be Nmap followed by the IP address. As you can see from this result, 10.10.10.2 is not responding to ping requests. When you initiate a scan, Nmap will initially ping the host to see if it's responding. If it responds, it will then go ahead and scan the host using TCP SYN scan. In this particular case, there's no 10.10.10.2 on my network, and so Nmap has given us a warning to say that host appears to be down. If you still would like to scan it, then initiate the scan with a -P0. That's going to say, Nmap, go ahead and scan it, even though you don't get any response to your ping request. Let's go ahead and scan a host that I know to be up, which is my default gateway, 10.10.10.1. As you can see, Nmap is pretty quick. It scanned the host in less than a second. It scanned about 1,000 ports, 1,000 well-known ports, and the results are shown on the screen. If I'd like to scan specific ports, I can initiate the scan like this. Nmap 10.10.10.1 -P. And then I can specify my ports. FTP, maybe, SSH, Telnet, SMTP, and port 80 for a web server. Let's try that. Okay, we can see FTP is closed, SSH is closed, Telnet is closed, SMTP is closed, but there is a web server running. If I'd like to find out what version of web server is running, so that I can maybe look at possible vulnerabilities and exploits, I can use the -SV option to try and ascertain version information. So let's give that a try. Nmap 10.10.10.1 -P80 -SV. It's a small s and a large v. What it's going to do now is going to look through a database of about 6,000 possible versions of different software, and by performing various tests, looking at the responses received, it has, in this case, ascertained that it's a HTTP squid web proxy version 2.7. Stable 9. The next thing we can do is we can use the switch -O, and it's a large O, to try and ascertain the operating system which is running on the target host.
Capital O.
So let's give that a try. Nmap 10.10.10.1 -O. O for OS. What it's going to do is going to look at the responses of the packets coming back from the machine, and it's going to try and ascertain what version of operating system is running, based on lots of things such as TCP window size, sequence numbers, and a lot more. In this particular case, it's told us that we have IP cop running, version 1.4 to 1.4.6. That's actually exactly what is running. So in this particular case, it's been very successful in determining the operating system which is running on that machine. So for a quick recap, Nmap followed by the host with an O will give us the operating system of the host, and with an SV, as a small s and a large v, think of version, it'll give us the version of the services found to be running on that machine. And you can do it like this. You can string them together to look at everything at once.
Wow. Nmap is very, very powerful. A couple of things. Just notice that you can get the version of the operating system with Nmap, which is why this is kind of the first step. So see how this fits with Metasploit, where Nmap finds out what version you're running, dumps that into Metasploit. Metasploit tells you what attacks might work against that version of the operating system or version of the application that's running. The other is get used to the command line. There is a GUI, very popular GUI interface for Nmap called ZenMap that you can download for free and run under Windows. Super easy. Don't be that person. Don't be a child. Be an adult. Use the command line. It's super easy. The command, and then the host, and then a couple of arguments. He's calling them switches. I would call them arguments at the end. Super easy. Obviously, I'm showing you a lot of videos in this particular chapter. That is intentional. Part of it is just to give you some real-world, not hands-on experience, but actually to see how these things work. Alien Vault is very popular right now. Again, something you can download. Let me show you what Alien Vault looks like. In fact, I may have, let me fix this here. Hang on. I may have misspoke about being able to download this one. I think AT&T just bought Alien Vault and is rebranding it. Still, I mean, you can download a free trial, but this used to be super available, but it's still in issue. So let's take just a 3-minute peek here.
Hey aliens, Garrett here. I'd like to give you a quick overview of the Alien Vault Unified Security Management Platform, or USM. I'll discuss the main features of USM, as well as the benefits that they provide. The USM platform includes 5 major functions that give you the best information about the security status of your environment. These include asset discovery, both active and passive network scanning as well as an asset inventory. Vulnerability assessment, continuous vulnerability monitoring from an authenticated and authenticated perspective. Intrusion detection, USM leverages both network IDS and a host-based IDS with file integrity monitoring. Behavioral monitoring, NetFlow analysis as well as service availability monitoring. And then security information and event management, or SIM, with log collection, event correlation, as well as incident response. After all of this data is fed into the SIM, we're able to correlate the events and identify threats via integrated threat intelligence from the Alien Vault Labs team. This gives you actionable alerts leveraging the kill chain taxonomy and expert intel on the threat, including background information and possible remediation steps. The Open Threat Exchange, or OTX, is the world's first open threat intelligence community and provides open access to a global community of threat researchers and security professionals. You get real-time detailed information about threats and incidents from collection points in over 140 countries. One of the benefits of using USM is that you gain visibility into your network almost immediately. USM will begin to generate alerts within minutes after it's configured. USM's built-in vulnerability scanning allows you to assess your risk by scanning your devices, producing content-rich reports, and automating the process with an easy-to-use scheduling feature. Identify attacks in real time, allowing you to react quickly and efficiently. USM includes network IDS to spot threats as they come across the wire, and host IDS for more granular monitoring of your critical assets. USM leverages file and registry integrity monitoring as well. Those come in handy when you need to track changes to files or Windows registry entries. Use behavioral monitoring to add context to alerts, allowing you to see unusual behavior that could indicate a successful attack or a compromised system. At the heart of USM is a correlation engine that considers all data points to identify real threats. That, in addition to regular updates to the threat intelligence via research done by the Alien Vault Labs team, accelerates your incident response and gives you hours back in your day. OTX data is also integrated within USM, adding valuable context to events and alerts that could aid in the investigation process. Think of the Alien Vault Labs team as an extension of your IT organization. They are constantly researching new threats and their associated attack methods. Updates include event correlation directives, network and host IDS signatures, report modules and templates, vulnerability database updates, and plugins for new data sources. Personalize the platform to get the views you need for yourself and your team. Create multiple dashboards with customizable widgets. Run and schedule custom reports on the fly, saving you valuable time. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to learn more, download a free...
Okay, obviously this is a very powerful tool. So it includes, it's a combo tool of an intrusion detection prevention system, as well as vulnerability assessment. So this would be kind of the first step is port scanning. If you need more detailed vulnerability assessment, you'd go to something like an Alien Vault or OpenVAS, which we'll talk about in a second. But I just want to look up who owns Alien Vault. I want to see if this might be an old link. Hang on one second. Yeah, I was right. Alien Vault is now AT&T Cybersecurity. Blah. So they're going to be rebranding this. We're seeing this over and over, where there's a really good free tool out there, and it gets bought up and is no longer free and becomes a proprietary tool. Blah. So another example of this phenomenon of a company buying something up and going commercial instead of being open source. Nessus used to be the go-to tool for vulnerability assessment, and now it's a commercial product that you have to pay for. Now this would be the Cadillac of vulnerability assessment tools. So if your company owns Nessus, awesome. There is still there's a fork off of Nessus called OpenVAS, Open Vulnerability Assessment Service, that you can download for free. We may with the change to an online format, I'll see if we can still do this assignment for this class, but I'm going to see if I can't give you access to an OpenVAS environment, let you run a couple of scans using OpenVAS. You could set this up on your own, but I'm trying to keep it nice and easy for you. But just be aware, OpenVAS is a very popular assessment tool. There are lots of great Kali tools. There are lots of great free tools out there. A lot of them built into that come free with Kali Linux, for example. We talked about Snort, Wireshark, of course, you get in 468. And you probably already got a little bit of practice with Nmap just through test out, because there are a couple of labs around Nmap and test out. Now would be the time to, especially since you're working from home now, start really playing around with some different Linux distributions. Kali is the go-to, although I got to tell you, I'm turning into a big fan of Parrot Linux. So it's like this. You can download a free copy of VM, no matter what OS you're using. If you're using Windows, if you're using a Mac, download a free copy of VMware Player. And within VMware Player, you can install Linux so that it's running inside your operating system. So without making any changes to your system. Super safe and easy way to start getting familiar with Linux. Parrot Linux, I think, is a lot easier to use. And it's pretty. It's just pretty. But email me if you want to learn more about Parrot OS. I'm a big fan. It's actually a student that turned me on to it last semester. So, let me know if you guys have a favorite distribution. But let's wrap up here. You cannot rely on these technological controls. Obviously, you need people controls and process controls, but IDPSs are a necessary but not sufficient condition for good security. They are susceptible to processing overload. If it's a brand new attack, it's going to have a hard time detecting it. An IDPS system is the first thing that a sophisticated attacker is going to go after. Some hackers will just kind of go in and trip your IDPS system for the fun of it, which is like ringing your doorbell and then running away. And it's just kind of juvenile, but it is possible. So just remember that an IDPS is the first thing a hacker will try to disable or circumvent. If having an IDPS system isn't enough, what can you do? Well, obviously you still want to go back to the 6 principles of security and having a security framework. So things like defense in depth, having multiple obstacles that a hacker has to get past, comprehensive security, guarding every single way that you access the network. Don't rely on just technology controls. Think managerial controls, think operational controls, which I think line up with people and process. Some great examples of specific controls would be the CSC, Critical Security Controls. And it's their top 20 list. So 20 pretty detailed, but this is as specific as these security frameworks get, I would say. So for example, here was it say deploy a network-based IDS sensor. Well, we talked about what that is in this chapter. On internet and extranet DMZ systems and networks that look for unusual attack mechanisms and detect compromise of these systems. It doesn't tell you which one to buy. It doesn't tell you which one to set up or even how to set it up. The control is just saying you need to have one in place. That is as detailed as they're getting here. Similarly, if you look at the cybersecurity framework, the 2014 version, it was updated to version 1.1 in 2018. I'm a big fan of this framework because it's pretty easy and straightforward. All it says about IDPS systems is anomalous activity is detected, should be detected in a timely manner, and the potential impact of events is understood. With a little more level of detail, but not much. So all these security frameworks are very high-level guidance. It's up to you as the system administrator, as the security analyst, to figure out how to implement these controls. Now, the cybersecurity framework gives you a very nice cheat sheet here for each one of these, how they line up with NIST, how they line up with COBIT, how they line up with ISO. That's super handy. All these security frameworks say very, very, very similar things, right? Again, we're kind of focusing on NIST in this class as the MacDaddy security framework. What else do we need to talk about? Things that I'm seeing from our industry partners in the St. Louis areas, they're getting a lot less reactive and much more proactive in their approach. So they're starting to hire people, including people straight out of college, to be threat hunters, which means people that are actively scanning the internal network. And this kind of assumes that controls have failed and people have gotten into your network, which is actually a good assumption. But please notice here the overlap, the heavy overlap between security and analytics. So something like an OpenVAS or an Alien Vault that's cranking through an awful lot of information, the line between cybersecurity, a career in cybersecurity, and analytics really starts to blur. And this is the number one thing people are looking for now, which I hate to say it, are people like you that have both skill sets, cybersecurity and analytics. It's a big ask, but it's something to start wrapping your head around. So as usual, shoot me your questions. I can't see your face. I can't tell if you're going, or yawning, if you're asleep. I can't tell what you're doing. You have to let me know you're alive out there and you're not dead from the coronavirus. Sorry, dark humor. You have to just let me know if you have any questions about the material. Email, text, cell. I'll be opening up Microsoft Teams and opening up the discussion board soon for other channels of interacting. But that's it for now. I'm going to go ahead and post this, and be well.